26-year-old champion of the world, all in white, with red, white and blue socks and an American flag emblazoned on the breast pocket of his dressing gown. A cool and a confident looking world champion. American gloves being tied on. The Americans insisted on American gloves being used for this contest, and the Kirvis camp agreed. Six-ounce gloves. And all of 10,000 people in this Wembley Stadium, now hushed and tense as people always are before a world championship fight. And over in the distance now, the strains of a Welsh song beginning to rise now from the darkness as this tremendous number of supporters for Kirvis begin to urge and encourage their man on. Miners have left the pits only hours ago. They barely took time off to wash the grime from their faces, and they caught a train and they've come to London to cheer on their man from Swansea, Brian Kirvis of Wales, the British and the Empire welterweight champion. All over this stadium, Welshmen are wearing rosettes, the black and gold, which are Kirvis's own colours, the red and white of Wales. A demonstration of patriotism that we haven't seen in a boxing arena for a good few years, perhaps not since Turpin had that immortal night with Sugar Ray Robinson 13 years ago.
Now, gentlemen, please, your attention, please. May I have the pleasure of presenting to you two British boxers who will shortly be fighting for world titles. First, Dave Charnley.
Dave Charnley, the British lightweight champion, who shortly may be fighting Carlos Ortiz for the world title.
Charnley will meet Carlos Ortiz in London in the new year for the World Lightweight Championship.
Charnley, who was beaten by Kirvis only a few months ago in this very ring. Howard Winston, the British and European featherweight champion, whom we saw on Monday night in Manchester, beat the Spaniard. Winston is going to meet Sugar Ramos for the world featherweight title on November the 24th.
I'd like them to go to the ring, if he's anywhere near, the last Britisher to fight for the welterweight championship of the world, the dashing, Ted Kid Lewis.
And the word has gone round, the nostalgic message: where is Ted Kid Lewis? The last man, the last Briton to win the welterweight championship of the world. He lost it in 1919, 45 years ago, and no Briton has won this title since. And they're looking for Ted Kid Lewis, and here he is. He's 70 years old this year, the great Ted Kid Lewis. One of the greatest champions this country ever produced. Ted Kid Lewis from the East End of London. It would be more than appropriate if Brian Kirvis were to emulate Ted in Ted's 70th year. A quarter of a century since any Briton fought for this welterweight title. The last man to do it was Ernie Roderick of Liverpool, who fought Henry Armstrong, the great Henry Armstrong, in 1939 in London, and he went all the way with him. He lost on points. He was beaten, but he was by no means disgraced.
Ladies and gentlemen, the main event, the welterweight championship of the world, 15 3-minute rounds at 10 stone, 7 pounds. Presenting the welterweight champion of the world from the Virgin Islands, New York City, Emil Griffith.
Curvis has come. He faces now the welterweight champion of the world, Emil Griffith. Mr. Gibbs, the referee, has already given them their instructions in the dressing rooms. And so we're all set. 15 rounds for the championship of the world. Brian Curvis from Wales, from the left-hand corner. The champion of the world, defending his title for the 10th time, Emil Griffith from the Virgin Islands. Meeting a southpaw for the first time in his life. Curvis leads with his right. Curvis has a good punch. Can he demonstrate it? Can he force it onto Griffith early in this fight, and so try to set up a dominance over this world champion? This might be the crux of this battle. How well can Griffith handle a southpaw? He's never done it before. Curvis looks serious. Dangerous looking right uppercut from Griffith. Griffith is a good worker inside. Curvis is not so experienced inside. Curvis neatly tying his man up inside. Right hand from Griffith. Caught Curvis off guard, and Curvis looks a bit disturbed about it. Got quick hands, the world champion, fast puncher. 30 seconds to go in the first round. Griffith doing a little bit of lying on inside. Curtis looking red about the face. Been caught once or twice off guard. With his head rubbing into Curtis's face, and he's cautioned about it by Harry Gibbs. And there's the bell to end the first. And so the first tense 3 minutes are over for Curtis, the 27-year-old British and Empire welterweight champion, a southpaw, the first Briton to challenge for this title for 25 years. He's had 31 professional fights. He's won 30 of them. His only defeat was from an American, Guy Sumlin, who beat him on a cut-eye decision in the 8th round. Let's look now at the world champion. Emil Griffith, 26, having his 10th world title fight. This is the man who has won the world title 3 times. He lost it to Benny Paret, and he won it back. Then he lost it to Louis Rodriguez, and again he won it back. Tonight he's getting £20,000 for defending this title in London. Curvis is getting 5,000, and as I've told you, he's fighting a southpaw for the first time in his life. His record, 46 fights, he's won 40 of them. Round 2. Griffith looking for the chance to get the right hand in, and doing it quite well occasionally. The right hand is the punch for the southpaw over the top of the guard. He's getting through with these head punches, Griffith. Looking to see how Curvis is standing up to them. Sharper punches at the moment coming from the American. A brisk little exchange there. One right hand at the end from Griffith is the best punch of the series. He's looking a lot sharper with his punches, the champion. That head rubbing into Curvis's face again. Curvis dropping a bit short with his right knees. He's got a good punch. If he can only get there within range and time it, and that's the champion again rubbing into the Welshman's face. And Mr. Gibbs forcibly pushes Griffith's head back. Second warning he's had for that. Typical American style, Griffith. Bursts of punching, combination punches, quick hands. Good body punch. Half a minute to go in the second. Nice left hand from Curtis. The best punch he's landed yet, right on the mouth of Griffith. Griffith took it without flinching. Curtis looking quite red around the face and around the eyes, principally I think from the head of Griffith. "46 fights. He's won 40. Surprisingly, he hasn't won an awful number inside the distance. Only 14 of his 40 wins have come inside the distance. He's been beaten 5 times and he's had one no contest. That was in Italy this year. He fought an Argentinian there. It was declared a no contest in the 7th round, and both Griffith and his Argentinian opponent were not only booed out of the ring, but they had orange peel and other things thrown at them. At that time he said he would never fight in Europe again, but here he is tonight with a 20,000-pound bait dangling before him, defending his title against the Welshman. A quick look at Curtis. Trainer Dickie Dog standing in front of him. Curvis's brother, Cliff Curvis, holding an ice pack to the side of Curvis's left eye, which is where Griffith's head has been rubbing into his face, and there's a little bit of a swelling beginning to appear, and they're taking no chances. Round 3. Curvis now looking also slightly marked by the right side of his face as well. Good right hand from Griffith. He's quick, he sees the chance and he gets them in. And Curvis is being beaten with these right hand punches over the top of his left hand. 2 more. A right and a left that time. Curvis's guard is dropping a bit low. He's not keeping his gloves up. His chin looks to me to be very much exposed. One feels here that Curvis needs badly now a good punch, a good telling punch now to restore a bit of confidence. He doesn't look nearly as confident as he did at the start. Griffith has got the upper hand at the moment. He's dictating the contest. Curtis picking his man off with right, leads. But his head is wide open. Minute to go of the third. Good left hook from the Welshman. Bit of defensive work gets the Welsh supporters here cheering for Curvis. That head again. Mr. Gibbs looking very sternly at Griffith. Curvis having trouble containing his man inside. Boos now ringing out for the head work of Griffith. 3 rounds completed, and Curvis finding a handful here, not only with the fists of Griffith but also with that head, which is causing him a lot of bother. Of his 30 wins, Curvis has stopped 19 opponents, so in fact he's stopped more men than Griffith has, although Griffith has had several fights more than he has. He's only actually knocked out 3 opponents, Curvis. He's held the Empire title since 1960. He won that before he won the British title. He beat George Barnes of Australia, and then the same year, 1960, he won the British title by beating Wally Swift of Nottingham. He now holds 2 Lonsdale belts outright, which means he's defended his British title 5 times successfully. Griffith now, the champion. Born in the Virgin Islands. In his world title fights, 9 of them, he's won 7. He's had wins over Benny Perret and over Gaspar Ortega, Ralph Dupas, and several others. Round 4. Stories were going around before this fight that Griffith was having trouble making the weight, but in fact he came in 1.5 pounds under the 10 stone 7 limit. They both weighed the same, 10.5 Did Griffith have trouble making that 10.5? We don't really know, and we shan't know unless this fight goes some distance, and then we might see whether there was any strain to make the weight, because it will start to tell in Griffith's legs and arms. Head again. He leans that head always into Curvis's face inside. Curvis trying to counter the whole time, letting the champion come to him, letting the champion lead most of the time and trying to counter, seldom taking the initiative. Watch him, he slips the punch, Curvis, and then tries to counter. Strangely enough, Curvis is not getting the worst inside. He's finding more trouble when the fighting is open rather than when it's inside. In fact, he's scoring quite well inside, which is surprising because we thought Griffith was the man with much more experience at infighting. Americans are usually much better at this than we are. Good luck. Slight smear of blood by the side of Curvis's nose. There it is, you can just see it. Another good left from Curvis. Two really cracking punches on the jaw of the champion. Round 4. Just over half a minute to go. A little more spring and snap to Curvis's work. Those two left hands gave him a lot more confidence. Waiting for Griffith to lead all the time, Curvis. Four rounds completed, and the feeling in this Wembley arena that this fight is beginning to hot up. I think we all felt that Curvis had a most definite chance. We often don't feel that British fighters in world title fights have a great deal of chance, but in this one, Curvis, with his good punch, his experience, his usually competent boxing, we felt that he did have a chance against Emil Griffith. And here we are with 4 rounds gone, with the world champion here a little ahead on my card, but not by much. I'm beginning to feel 1 or 2 left hands from Curvis. The left hand, of course, being Curvis's big punch from the southpaw. Griffith was born at Charlotte Amalie on the island of St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands in the Caribbean. He emigrated to New York to join his mother there in 1955 when he was 16 years old. And he first took up boxing in New York as an amateur. He won a Golden Gloves title. Round 5. Four good punches from Griffith. These Americans don't let a man get away with it. Head again, and this time Griffith gives him a much sterner warning. That's the second talking to he's given the world champion. There's that head again. Well, we all knew that Griffith in his spare time as a hat designer certainly seems to have designs on Curvis's head here. These quick whiplash right hands of Griffith are going to take their toll of Curvis if he keeps putting them in like this. He's put it in several times in this 5th round. This time Curvis gets the warning to the head. Another one of those rights. Strength-sapping punches. He's not a big puncher, Griffith, but he'll wear a man down if he's allowed to keep putting those right hands in. Curvis trying to get away and was being held. Coming to the end of the 5th. So we're a third of the way through the scheduled 15 rounds. Griffith in New York went to work for a hat manufacturer called Howie Albert, who's the gentleman with glasses leaning through the ropes there. And it was Howie Albert, a former amateur boxer himself, who introduced Griffith to boxing. The stories go that Griffith wasn't too keen at the time. In fact, they said that he used to take about an hour and a half to walk the dozen blocks to the gym because he was so reluctant to get there. But anyway, he's got over that reluctance all right. He won Golden Gloves titles, and now here he is in his 10th world professional title fight. Curtis, Dickie Dobbs, the trainer, working hard on Curtis, whose face has looked red almost from the start from the attentions of Griffith's head. Round 6. In the ring, strictly defensive at the moment. Wants Griffith to come to him. Certain amount of caution to Griffith's work as well, you'll notice. He doesn't actually go in until he's quite sure he's going to get his man. He's a bit wary of Curvis's left hand, and there it is again. That's a good punch. You can see Griffith trying to puzzle out this southpaw stance of Curvis. Curvis's left eye now beginning to look a little worse. Not cut, but there's a swelling coming up at the side of it. Long-range pot shots, that's the pattern of this round. This is an opportunity to rub that curly head into Curvis's face. That's a good body punch, a right hand underneath, and that's the first knockdown. Curvis in round 6. Right at the end of the round. Only seconds left. And this crowd is stunned by that sudden whiplash right hand under the heart. And Curvis was down for 8 with about 5 seconds to the end of the 6th round. And that was the right hand which he'd been taking to the head so consistently, and suddenly Griffith whiplashed it underneath. A scything punch. There we're looking through Mr. Gibbs' legs now at Curvis. Almost a keyhole shot of a man who was stricken with seconds to go. And as I said, the Wembley pool now seems to be stunned. The world supporters have gone very, very silent. And suddenly, from Curvis being in the fight with a chance against his world champion, Griffith has turned into a bit of a bogeyman. The right hand to the body put the British champion on the floor. And now Curvis is up against it, and we're not halfway through the scheduled 15 rounds. coming up to round 7. How well has Curvis weathered that? The minute's rest, has it been enough? The head butted right up under Curvis's jaw there. Again, a Welsh song softly begins to sound around this arena. Curvis, in the trial of his life here, feeling his way back into this fight after that sudden right under the heart. Hurt again. An awful lot of snap has gone out of Curvis's work since that knockdown. Griffith looks the danger man all the way now. Curvis looks apprehensive. Round 7, and a minute to go of that round. Keep that head up. Same punch. That was better. And another. 2 left. Good punches, both of them. Round 7 is completed, and one senses a sigh of relief in this Wembley arena that Curvis has weathered 3 minutes, which looked like being mighty dangerous to him. He's come through those 3 minutes after being put down in the previous round. But he hasn't really fought his way right back in. 2 good lefts in that round, which gave his supporters a good deal of encouragement and might have given him some as well. But you still have the sense that this man, the champion, Emil Griffith, is very much the top dog at the moment. Not a spectacular performance from him, but a grimly competent one, working efficiently the whole time, and slowly but inexorably, it seems, wearing the Welshman down. A scheduled 8 rounds left for us to see whether Brian Curvis can come right back into this World Welterweight Championship. Also that minute's interval, Gil Clancy, one of the co-managers of the world champion, was telling Griffith to work to the body. This is where they feel Curvis is vulnerable. And there's the same punch again to the body, and Curvis is hurt again. He's staying close. That same right hand, pistol whipping into the body. And Curvis now is cut by his right eye. There's a cut at the corner of Curvis's right eye. It's a small one. Round 8, Curvis cut. British champion. At times he's looked very much discouraged from these ever pumping arms of Griffith. There's that same punch under the heart, and Curvis is hurt again, doubled over. And this time Griffith is warned for a low one. Mr. Gibbs felt that right hand had gone in low. We're coming to the end of the 8th round. I don't think Curvis heard the bell there because he was beginning to trade punches with the champion. Curvis's right eye is slightly cut at the corner. Dickie Dobbs working on it now. Not serious. Eight rounds completed, over halfway through the scheduled 15. Curvis, having been on the floor towards the end of the 6th round and now cut in the 8th. The going is hard indeed for the British and Empire welterweight champion. And Emil Griffith in that other corner, notably unmarked and seemingly unworried, and always, on my card anyway, forging steadily ahead. And it's going to take a superhuman effort by Brian Curvis to pull this one out of the bag. Round 9. Countering neatly with the right hand. At times Curvis moves brilliantly, steering clear of trouble, slipping punches very cleverly indeed and countering neatly. But the force doesn't seem to be behind his punches. He hasn't really put in the really big one we hoped for. Is twisting and slithering this way and that to get out of trouble, and Griffith stays with him all the time. One feels now that he won't outbox the champion, and he's got to really let rip if he's going to do anything. That left hand so well. Occasionally I wonder he doesn't chance his arm a little bit more, but then it's easy to say that from this position. He's taken a few of those right hands to the head and to the body, and they clearly hurt. Nine rounds completed. And Curvis still strong in the legs, but seeming to me to be not really confident about this. He's not opening up enough. He's not anxious to go forward and try to really land a good punch on this world champion. He's felt the force of Griffith's punches, and he's a little bit apprehensive. And so he's not producing all the fire and the fury that he has in some other fights. Brian Curvis of Wales, desperately trying to gain the welterweight championship here for Britain, but coming up against an extremely competent craftsman in Emil Griffith. The world champion. You might have noticed the extraordinary build of this man. He's got tremendous shoulders and chest on him, a 44-inch chest, and he comes down to a 27-inch waist. Beautifully built for a welterweight. In this 10th round, the pattern is the same, with Curvis letting the champion come to him all the time, wanting the man, it seems, to come to him, and always trying to counter, but seldom taking the initiative. And it's not enough, or it hasn't been enough so far. Left hand, just when Curvis seemed to be getting on top. And there's 55 seconds left of this round, and once more Curvis is in trouble. And so you see why Curvis can't open this up and why he can't be more aggressive, because when he does, he finds the other man has got the harder punch. 30 seconds left. Round 10 has 20 seconds to go. This is the worst one yet for Kervis, and he gets one right into the solar plexus, and there's 10 seconds left. 5 seconds. And he's made it, but it was touch and go. And Kervis gets a big hand for getting through what was the most dangerous round of all for him so far. For the second time, Brian Kervis has been on the floor. He was on the floor in the 6th, and now again in the 10th. First time from a right hand, this time from a left, from a distance. And looking at my card now, I find that this man is way, way out in front. In fact, I've only given clearly one round to Kervis, which was the 4th. I made him share the 1st, and the rest I have given to the world champion. And so, with 5 rounds to go, 1/3 of the fight remaining, Kervis has got a tremendous task ahead of him if he's to win this title fight. I would think nothing now but a knockout punch can win Kervis the title. Slowing down now. It's not surprising. I'm being picked off almost at will. Has Kervis much left to offer? This is the question now. Now there's a big blue bruise appearing beneath Kervis's left eye. You can see it. And he's getting a very thorough working over from a grimly efficient world champion. And he's very tired, Kervis. Good left hand. This is what he's got to do. He's got to take everything in 2 hands here and just go thrashing out after Griffith if he's going to win. But these have been the danger moments for Kervis. Whenever he's opened up, he's run into trouble. Just under half a minute left of the 11th. There's a reception for Kervis as he goes back at the end of the 11th. For the last minute of that 11th round, suddenly the Welsh Dragon began to spit fire, and suddenly Griffith looked a little uncomfortable. This is what Kervis has got to do now, with only 4 rounds remaining. He's got to suddenly produce something like that if he's going to pull this one out of the fire. Picture of a man who's doing his best but finding that a world champion is no easy man to handle. Cliff Curvis in the background, his brother, looking anxious. A fighting family, these Curvises, and they're going to need all their fight now. 12th round, 4 to go. Curvis, from looking the underdog in previous rounds, has suddenly acquired a lot more spirit. The confidence is seeping back into him. Come on, Brian. The crowd begins to yell for the Welshman. Has he got it there to give? This is the stage of the fight where if Griffith has any trouble with the weight, he's going to find it, and he's hurt by a right hand. Another right hand. Curvis is coming right back into it suddenly. Just under half a minute left of this round, which has been Curvis's best round so far. Does this mean that Griffith did have weight trouble, and is he beginning to slow down? Oh, yes, yes, yes. A round for Curvis. Round 12, his best yet. A very fine recovery indeed by the British and Empire champion, which has set this Wembley arena alight now, because from looking all over a beaten man, Curvis has come right back into it. And if Emil Griffith has had trouble with the weight, these last 3 rounds are where he's going to feel it. And so is it possible now that Curvis is still in there with a chance of winning the world title? A tantalizing possibility now as Griffith prepares to come out for the final 3 rounds to defend this world title. From seeming to be a foregone conclusion, the drama has suddenly erupted in the Wembley pool. Round 13. You can almost feel this crowd saying, come on, Brian, chant your arm. Griffiths now open-mouthed for the first time. He's not finding the breath so easy to come by, this world champion. And he's got him with 3 good punches, and Griffith has to fight back off the ropes. If Curvis has the strength here, something extraordinary could happen. Oh, and he's hurt him with a punch, which seemed to me to go right back behind to the kidneys. But no warning. And he's hurt Curvis again with body punching. This is the world champion at bay now, beginning to come back after seeming to be in trouble. And so it's switched again in this 13th round. And Griffith, again, very much on top. And Curvis is desperately tired. It looks as though he may have shot his bolt. This is the 13th round, and Curvis may have trouble getting through this one even. 35 seconds to go in it.
Come on, boy!
And Griffith again is the master. Curvis's legs and arms seem to have turned to paper. Oh, what a punch to the solar plexus, a right hand. And Curvis is so hurt. Right to the solar plexus. It's right at the end of the round. And that bell must come as such a welcome relief to Brian Curvis. What a good body punch there was, a right hand which dug viciously into Curvis's body. And so this brave Welshman, who's gone 13 rounds with the Welsh champion, and in rounds 11 and 12, suddenly seemed as if he might spring an incredible sensation, apparently has shot his bolt, and they're lifting his legs up now, massaging them, trying to bring the strength and the sap back into them somehow. But it seems to be a despairing effort. 2 rounds to go. The world champion, who all the way through has fought a grimly competent battle. And here comes the Welsh singing again. The 14th round, 2 to go. Griffith once more, the hunter, and Curvis, the hunted. Elbow for Griffith. Trying to produce a winning left hook. But he'll have to produce it, he'll have to dredge it out of some reserve of strength if he's going to get anywhere with it. Because Curvis is very tired. Curvis's left eye now looking very much worse for wear, and it's beginning to close. he's having to take a lot of punches. A minute left of the 14th. Look at those legs. There's very little left in them. Another of those scything body punches. Half a minute of this to go, and 3 minutes more in the final round. And every second one feels now is going to be agony for Curvis. The world champion, unmarked and apparently now unbothered. Briefly worried in the 11th and 12th, but that seemed to have been Curvis shooting his bolt. He hasn't had much left since. And so Griffith, in the 10th defence of his world title, seemingly on his way to victory with 3 minutes to go. For his 41st win in 47 fights. Let's look now at Brian Curvis, a brave challenger from Wales, and it seems very likely now that we're going to see repeated here what happened 25 years ago at Haringey when Ernie Roderick from the north of England took Henry Armstrong, the American world champion, 15 rounds only to lose on points. And it seems likely, indeed very probable, that Curvis is going to go the 15 rounds, but he's going to lose on points. The last look in his corner now as he comes out to face Emil Griffith for the last time. And there aren't any fervent Welsh cheers, because I think they sense that Curvis has done his best, and it hasn't been enough. Curvis trying to find a punch from somewhere to put this dusky man on the floor. And Griffith is cut. He's cut over his left eye. Griffith is cut over his left eye, unless it's the blood from Curvis's nose. It looks to me as though Griffith may be cut over his left eye. He is cut. The world champion is cut in the last round, and we've got just over a minute to go. He's cut on his eyebrow. Too late to help Curvis because there's less than a minute to go now. Come to the end. Mr. Gibbs looks at that left eye of Griffith's. There's just over 10 seconds to go. The world champion cut across his left eye. An amazing turn-up in the final round. Curvis with very little strength left, and there's the bell to end it, the end of the World Championship. And Mr. Gibbs comes across to Emil Griffith, who retains his World Welterweight Championship on points after 15 rounds against the British and Empire champion Brian Curvis. And now the photographers and the supporters begin to make their way into the ring, and this Wembley ring being invaded now by any number of people. After a very competent performance by the world champion, who ended with a cut over his left eye.
Retaining his world title, the winner, Emil Griffith.
And so in his 10th world title fight, Griffith of America and the Virgin Islands is the winner. And you can see somewhere in that group Brian Curvis, looking sad and obviously bitterly disappointed. He fought as well as he could, but I'm afraid it wasn't good enough against a good world champion. And so Curvis, the holder of 2 Lonsdale belts, has made this unavailing bid for the world title at 27 years of age. And despite the Welsh fervour for him at the start here, I'm afraid he couldn't quite produce the goods. He tried so hard, and in rounds 11 and 12 it looked for a time as though perhaps we were going to see a sensational upset. But he couldn't keep it up. But he certainly hasn't disgraced British boxing tonight. The story of this World Welterweight Championship is of a grimly efficient defender, Emil Griffith, doing a workmanlike performance all the way through. And so once again we have to tell the story of American competence and efficiency beating British guts. And that, I'm afraid, is the story that we've had to tell so often when a Briton has made a bid for a world title. By a British boxer to win a world title has failed tonight in this Wembley pool ring. We've just seen the end of the fight between Brian Curvis, over there now, and Emil Griffith, the defending champion. And the result has been that Griffith has defended his title successfully on points over 15 rounds. Curvis from Wales tried hard, he tried gallantly. In the 11th and 12th rounds it looked for a moment as though we might be going to see a sensational upset. But that, as we discovered, was Curvis shooting his bolt. But he tried bravely, desperately, but it wasn't enough. And so the story we shall tell you tomorrow night on BBC television is of a very gallant British bid to win a world title from Emil Griffith, the world welterweight champion. You can see the blow-by-blow tele-recording of this fight, BBC One, tomorrow night at 10 p.m.
Come out fighting at the bell.
The heavyweight championship of the world in Las Vegas, Nevada. Charles Sonny Liston defends his title against Floyd Patterson, the former heavyweight champion. What will Patterson do this time? Is he going to come out and attack, or is he going to go on the defensive? This is the big question. Here we go with round 1. Liston slow to come out of his corner. Those body punches are the punches that hurt Patterson the first time they met in the first round. Liston got through underneath, and that began all the trouble for Patterson. That left jab of Liston's is his really big punch. £21 difference between these two. Look at the size of Liston. He's getting through underneath, and he's got him going again. Less than a minute gone, and there's the first count. And Liston was a long time going to a neutral corner. 8, there's the count, that's the compulsory count. That was 1 minute gone, and Patterson already on the floor. Those heavy lefts going through on the right, following up, and this is what's doing the damage. He's holding and hitting Liston. He's trying to fight back Patterson, but the other man has got by far the heavier punch. And he's over again the second time. Six, 7, 8. 1 minute and 50 seconds. And that looks like being the last one, the way he went there. 7, 8, he won't make it. 9, 10, he's out, and the time is 2 minutes and 9 seconds. 2 minutes, 9 seconds on my watch, which is unofficial. I make it just 3 seconds longer than Patterson lasted the first time. Another sensational win for Sonny Liston.
Also, in case